coronavirus doesn't pass.
All see Black Lives Matter demonstrations.
Oppression is brought out.
So unfortunately, because I just feel like we're going down this road, we've been down this road before. Things like we've had.
Hello and welcome to Your Voice. My name is Gabriel Renu. The COVID-19 pandemic has had a significant impact on the performing arts. Live performances in indoor spaces have all been cancelled. Millions of performing artists, including DJs, are affected by clubs, weddings, birthdays and numerous corporate events being either postponed until 2021 or called off completely. Today, we're going to be discussing the negative and in some cases even positive effect that lockdown has had on the entertainment industry and looking into ways it's likely to become the new normal. Here to discuss the impact of the coronavirus and has had on the entertainment industry, Marlon Boateng, events organizer and promoter, and Dorcas Shola Fapson, actress, DJ and presenter. A real pleasure to have you both join us.
Thank
You first, Dorcas. How has the pandemic had an impact on young entertainers around the globe?
I feel like it's affected so many people in different ways, from musicians to actors to DJs to live performers, bands. Everyone's literally been affected because everything's literally been cancelled, postponed, or just completely shut down till we know what's happening. And it's difficult because we don't know when it's going to get back to normal. So for me, acting, like auditions, postponed, cancelled, filming, postponed, cancelled, and like many other actors and actresses, you know, theatre performers and stuff, theatre performances cancelled. So yeah, it's affected everyone, really. No work, you know, you have to find other ways to make money, think of other streams of income. So it's been really tough, but we're still here.
so Marlon, can clubs, promoters, can they ever bounce back after this? After this is all over, whenever it's over?
I think we have to get an understanding of when it will be over to answer that correctly, in all honesty. I mean, there are some promoters who are very smart, maybe had different things going on the side. I mean, like yourself, you're doing various things. But for some who were just full-time promoting and did nothing else, I think they're in a little bit of a hot soup. They might have to go and do some Uber driving or you got to do something else, do something else to cover the bills for now. And then hopefully, things starts to relax and then, you can perhaps build on and try. It's like starting all over again, to be honest with you.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
So why do you think they can't bounce back?
I mean, I know it's not just me, and I think probably January was like, yes, this year, 2020.
Yeah,
I'm going to
New
do
Year
this many
resolutions.
events. I'm going to do this. We're going to make this much money. I'm going to buy a new house. Yeah. No, Boris just said, nope, sorry.
Corona said nope.
Not this year. yeah. So I think it's a difficult one. I mean, you got to imagine everything just kind of put to a stop for the whole year almost. I know we had that little window, so I think, was it July?
Summer.
That little bit of summer.
Yeah.
But I think before you even recruit what you kind of could have made from maybe the earlier part of the year, the first quarter per se, the second quarter, sorry, again, another, stay at home.
Right.
So, another, was it a month to go? And then even when it comes back around again, if it comes back around, what is it, December 2nd, they're saying, how, what's it going to look like?
Yeah.
Are they going to go back to the groups of 4s, the groups of 6? It just doesn't work.
Right.
It's really difficult.
Thank you. So before we came on air today, I spoke to promoter and influencer DJ Abbas, and here is what he had to say. Hi, DJ Abbas, and thank you so much for joining. Is the role of the DJ going to change after this pandemic?
The primary role of the DJ would remain the same, which is just to provide music at events. What would probably change is what we know as the traditional events. And I think we're kind of like going through a period of transition right now. We're having a pandemic. We don't know when things will return back to as we know it. However, we are human beings, and human beings will always seek entertainment, and DJing is one key form of entertainment. My last physical gig was March 14, and today we're in when almost midway into November, and my last physical gig was November 14. But I've been blessed to kind of like kick off a Zoom event. I've had presentations on Facebook, I've had presentations on Instagram. Now I'm having a Zoom event, which I've had 23 editions of every Friday night. Never thought that was possible, never thought it could happen. I have a gathering of anything physically on screen, anything between 180 to 250 people every Friday. Same people that come out to the physical events. They want to be entertained, they want to network, they want to be amongst friends. And so the role of DJ would always remain the same, but the playground might adjust a bit.
So what is the real impact of the pandemic on the DJ industry as a whole? What's been the real impact? Because not many understand how it's really affected the DJ industry.
Well, if you look at who is a DJ is someone who provides music, and typically they go out. With the exception of the radio DJs or the DJs that do presentations on TV, most DJs are in the venue. So they're either at a party event, they're either in a club, either on a cruise, on a ship, on a plane, whatever. They're out there playing. And this pandemic has knocked the entertainment industry, and DJs are bang in the middle of that, right in the middle of that. So most DJs you speak with probably will tell you the last gig they had was just before the original lockdown, as all the traditional venues, nightclubs, and mostly like nightclubs are closed. Some dancing restaurants opened. So a few DJs had the opportunity to kind of like go back into those environments, but then they've never had the opportunity to kind of stretch their abilities or their performances. And also, you look at the bread and butter events, weddings, birthdays, we've not been able to have those because most of the venues are closed. So yes, it has affected that sector very, very badly indeed.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us, DJ Abbas. Thank you. Have a great day. So Dorcas, you're a DJ.
Yeah.
How has the pandemic affected you getting gigs?
It's literally affected everything, like from concerts to clubs, like literally affected everything. If it's not cancelled, there's restrictions. So obviously all the major shows and everything have been shut down completely till next year. But I think when we had the little opening where they eased the lockdown, some venues were open. So for me, my personal experience was that the venues will say like play certain music that won't get the crowd too hyper, so people don't leave their tables and dance with everyone because you had to stay in your bubble. So it's like, okay, cool, so you have to adhere to what the venue's saying, but then the people want to turn up and they want to have fun, and it's like you kind of have to listen to what the venue's saying or they're going to shut down the event. It's just like, it's just a weird time, because if there's no, it's either you do the booking and you do it how the venue want you to do it, and then people are not happy because you're not playing the songs they want to hear, you're not shutting down the party how you would normally shut it down. And the crowd is not happy because they have to stay in their six people to a table and stay in that bubble. And then if you're not doing that, then there's just no event. So it's a lose-lose. Like, it's either you do an event and then you have restrictions, or you don't do anything at all, if there is.
So have you done any online?
Yeah, so during the lockdown I did a lot of like everyone did Instagram. I'm sick of Instagram lives. Like, everyone was doing Instagram lives. So I did a lot of shows on Insta Live and Mixcloud and stuff.
Yeah.
And my neighbours started complaining, and I started arguing with my neighbours. It's just frustrating, but I'm trying to still be active and try and still do stuff, like engage with the online community.
What was that experience like?
It was fun for the first couple months, and then it got kind of like, when is things going to go back to normal? When am I going to interact with real people? When am I going to see, you can read comments when you're DJing or whatever, but it's weird. It's not the same. It's not the same vibe. So it's just. Yeah. So
Marlon, have you tried promoting online?
Yeah, we did a few, the Insta Live, as Dorcas said.
What's that like as a promoter? Because I can understand why it'll be fun for a DJ, but as a promoter, how do you kind of...
To be honest, it was fun the first few, because it was usually at the events where if you're a promoter, you're just running around, making sure everything's okay, just helping others that might need your help doing, the event. But when it's on live, and your DJs are doing the, the playing part, it's fun for us to kind of interact and kind of, certain individuals who might be attending the events are live, so you can have that little banter conversation.
Right.
Tell the DJ, put the song back, we're saying, cash at me your account,
Yeah.
and we'll send you money
Wow.
for DJ pull up. So yeah, it was for a few, but then, as Dorcas said, you need that interaction with humans. You need to be, there's nothing better than trying to do the best say together, and the whole vibe.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you feel like the government has kind of supported, these young entertainers in this entertainment enough in the UK?
I haven't received no email from the government saying, hi guys, how can we help? So I was saying no to that, but of course maybe others might have got some support, or maybe there are others support out there. I'm just not aware of it.
I definitely don't think there's enough.
Yeah.
I think they've tried a bit, but it's not enough, especially for people like actors, DJs, especially literally, like there definitely isn't enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's funny though when they want to get hold of you, because
They know where to find
they're nowhere to find. The licensing team will know where to find you. But why don't they some licensing team come and say, hey guys, do you need help? How can we support you? But no support.
Thank you, guys. So we're going to take a short break now, but please join us again for part 2, where we will be continuing the conversation, looking at how cinemas and TV production have been affected. See you in a few minutes. Welcome back to Your Voice with me, Gabriel Renu. Well, we discussed many of the issues facing live performances, but of course, there have been negative impacts and on non-performances too. Cinemas have had to close and then reopen with social distances in place only to close again. This surely must have taken its toll. We're here to discuss this and other challenges facing film and TV in 2020 are producer and director Obi Emeloye and of course, Dorcas Shola Fapson. Obi, you've produced and directed many successful movies in the world of Nollywood. What are you currently working on and how has that been affected by the current pandemic?
Well, thank you for having me. I would say every sphere of our lives have been affected by the pandemic. Some people more so than the others. The entertainment industry has had to cope with an industry that is very intimate, that is very fraternal, that is very interactive, is hit by, you can't make a film by yourself, even though I tried to do that at the beginning of the pandemic when I shot a film called Heart to Heart, which I directed by Zoom.
Right.
Apparently it was the first to be directed in that way. So we've had to deal with restrictions that kind of directly impinge on the work itself. But just like every other industry, we're trying to find ways to get over the challenges that we face. And to give a good example, I just finished a film last month, which I am working on in post-production right now called Blackmail. And it shows that with the right kind of attitude, with the right kind of dedication, with the right kind of strategic planning, that things can still be done, even with the lockdown.
Right. So Dorcas, as well as being a DJ, you're also an actress.
Yeah.
And how has the lockdown, particularly the pandemic, how has it affected you and you trying to kind of film and shoot for new movies?
It's been really difficult because I had a lot of things greenlit for this year. So I was supposed to be in Lagos filming some stuff. I was supposed to be filming season 2 Castle and Castle, and everything's literally been postponed till next year, and some even recast because I can't fly out to Nigeria.
Right.
So I've lost out on a lot of opportunities that I'd already planned for and already made up my mind that I was going to do. So that's been really annoying. Then aside from that, having auditions in the UK has been really weird. You get a lot of video auditions or self-tapes. So yeah, it's just been a weird time because it's just when are we going to get back to normal? When are we going to actually be able to fly out and film stuff? And yeah, it's just been difficult.
So this afternoon I had the pleasure of catching up with film analyst Judita De Silva. Here's what she had to say. Hi Judita, and thanks for joining. How is this year's limited blockbuster releases going to affect next year's Oscar nomination and award ceremony?
I mean, first of all, we've already seen them make 2 very unprecedented concessions. First of all, we've known that there's been this friction between the Oscars body, which are very much about the preservation of the cinema and theatrical experience, and their anti-feelings towards streamers like Netflix, even though they repeatedly, year after year, produce productions that are Oscar-worthy. So on one hand, the Oscars doesn't want to let go of their love of traditional film enjoyment in the cinema. And on the other hand, Netflix wants the legitimacy of winning Oscars like they had with Alfonso Cuarón's Roma. But then this year we saw them lose out with so many nominations for Marriage Story, for The Irishman, for 2 Popes. But what they've done now is that they officially released a statement saying that there would be concessions for Netflix films to be more in consideration for nominations and therefore wins, because they realized if you don't take in the streamers, there will be no nominees. The second big concession they made is they've pushed the Oscars from February, which it has been for years, to April, because they're hoping that the world will get a handle on COVID and then productions will be able to be released, because we know everyone's expecting Bond 25 to come in spring, hopefully. So those have been the first 2 major changes that have come about.
So is video on demand the new normal now? Are we going to now see more and more production companies going to places like Netflix and Amazon Prime to premiere some of their releases? Is that the new way forward?
I think if ever laughing all the way to the bank was the apt description for a time in history, it would be now. Because for people like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, and Disney, who were perfectly positioned before the pandemic hit, they already had a canon of films that they had because they produced way in advance. So even now you can see them every week, they have a Christmas movie. These were all pre-produced, and people had always maligned someone like Netflix for spending so much money. Now it's paying off. Subscriptions went up, the viewership has gone up. So what you're seeing now is, like you say, the visceral memory of the human being will be who was good to you when times were rough. When you're thinking about the issues people have with mental health, what they're going to do during lockdown, they will remember that the people who were there, the brand that was there throughout, were the Netflixes and Amazon Primes. So come tomorrow, when you're thinking about how the evolution of film will go, productions so far, they will have to make concessions because you will have a bunch of people that are not so keen on being so social. I do admit that the theatrical experience is something classic. You want to go on a date to the cinema. You want to go with friends to see that big release. The cinema experience will never go away. But what you find it will become is a sporadic diversion as opposed to a staple diet of everybody's recreational time. So then what will people, like you said, people will have to factor that into the marketing rollout. How long do you leave the film in cinemas before you put it on streaming? Because you will have a percentage of your audience that just can't be bothered. And they've become familiar with staying at home. They like staying at home. So you'll think to recoup the cost, put it onto streaming, make your deals with streaming at the same time as cinemas, and make the time in cinemas less and quicker onto platforms, because people will not want to wait 2 years before they see the Joker land on Netflix. So things like that.
Well, thank you so much. That's been so insightful, Juditha. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Obi, we just heard from Juditha there on the impact of the pandemic in Hollywood. I just wanted to kind of get your view on how has the pandemic affected Nollywood. Are we now, as the Nollywood industry, now looking at videos on demand streaming services and less premiering on having premiere cinema?
No, as Juditha said, the streaming sites have kind of enjoyed real good time in this very bad time for everybody. And you can't really begrudge them because they have prepared years in advance, not anticipating something like this, but their business strategy has been to provide an alternative to TV and to the cinema. And in a time when the cinema closed and TVs were struggling to grab that audience share, they have really stood up. So in Nollywood, I happen to be one of those people that have benefited from the Netflix arrangement, whereby some of my earlier films and more recent ones have been acquired as part of the very aggressive marketing campaign that Netflix, once they set up in Nigeria, set out to do. And they have kind of supported the industry in such a way that in a time when it's all doom and gloom, there's a little bit of ray of hope for the film industry. Unfortunately, some caution has to be applied, because when you become completely dependent on a company, a capitalist company, then you run the risk of having your destiny tied to the decisions they make. So even though it's a good phase for Nollywood to have the alternative revenue from Netflix, we should still strive to build structures that would make sure that the industry is not 100% reliant on one company.
Right. So the cinema experience is, because the cinema experience is not going to be the same as we know it come next year. So what is your take on that? Is it time that we started looking at, actresses now start looking at more online content or putting themselves online?
For me, I am definitely think that you should definitely look into, there's things like YouTube now, there's Instagram, there's so much social media. You'd be silly not to put yourself out there because it's literally available to everyone. And I definitely think that any creative should look into putting themselves more online. because that's the future really, and it's the times we're living in right now. We don't know when it's going to get back to normal.
So have you put yourself online?
Yeah, definitely. I've been, before the pandemic, I've been putting myself on Instagram. I do monologues, I put them out there, I've done them on YouTube. Just any avenue to kind of just keep myself out there and just stay active. So especially during this pandemic, I recorded a lot of monologues and scenes that I like and just put them out. And that just keeps me going. So I'm active as an actor as well. I'm not just sitting down doing nothing. And also my content's out there so people can see my talent. So hopefully when we do go back to normal, someone's like, oh, remember that monologue she did? Yeah. You know?
So Obi, if you had to forecast how this is going to all end, where do you actually see this ending? If you had to kind of put a date?
I just like every politician, I believe that the vaccine, when it's officially released, would provide a strong foundation for normalcy to return. But as an industry, I believe that what has happened, this aberration of the cinema industry that has happened would not disappear overnight. So I've been asked if, when I made the film Heart to Heart, which was directed on Zoom, I've been asked if that's the future of the industry. And while I see a little bit of logistical advantage with being flexible with the shoot and having to shoot somebody without having them fly in, just like my colleague here was saying, it's very difficult to fly in. And sometimes you could now shoot those things and then send them through the technology to make it happen. While that will remain as what I would call a vestige of this era, essentially filmmaking is a very interactive, cooperative process, and it will continue to be so. So when things get back to normal, there will be elements of this remote filmmaking still existing, but in the main, film industry will remain what it used to be, which is a group of people coming together, having fun, and creating fun for other people.
Thank you both for joining. Thank you. So that's the end of part 2. Join us after the break, where we will be looking into the more positive elements of entertainment industry in 2020. Welcome back to Your Voice, where we're focusing on the effects of the pandemic has had on the entertainment industry. So far, we've heard the negative effects of COVID-19 on these sectors, but there are some businesses that have been thriving during this pandemic. Here to look at the more positive consequences of the lockdown of the world in entertainment, we have Steve Osage, artist manager and media strategist, and Emmanuel Alade, CEO of Creatix Empire and Afrobeats Global. Now, Steve, the entertainment industry, a lot of artists are realizing that they can do stuff from the comfort of their own home and put it out there online. Yeah. That's not necessarily a bad thing, right?
No, I mean, obviously also working in social media and digital space, it's been a very eye-opening section for a lot of artists, knowing that they didn't have to go and shoot a big music video in a certain location, or they didn't have to just wait till, for a certain venue to book them. They can actually do like their bookings online, or they could do viral videos, literally, just, them on their phone, or do kind of cartoon videos, which limited their budget. But they've been able to see the great opportunities that the online space and the social media was able to actually give them. So they had no choice but to explore it. Right. So there's been a growth in the amount of people being home, also being able to kind of stream music, being able to listen to music, and being able to watch music. So it's been good for the artists that have been creative enough and been able to take that launch in that space. Right.
So Emmanuel, how has the pandemic and the lockdown affected your business?
Listen, it's actually a global pandemic. Like, on the economy, there's, downtime in terms of finances globally. But I guess the good thing about my business is actually because in effervescent in Nigeria and then here in the UK, we got into the lockdown before Nigerian government decided to go, on lockdown as well, likewise. But the good thing is, it kind of captivates everyone indoor, which means they start using internet more, getting connected to the outside world via, the World Wide Web. And one of the things that we do as a business as well is, for example, we do social media management. Right. We do digital marketing, for example. At that point in time, you have individuals as well. They're back home thinking, oh wow, 9 to 5 is no longer the deal. Yeah. So they start coming creative with, oh, I need to set up something. What else am I, made for? So at the start of the pandemic in the UK, what I did is a strategic meeting with the guys in Nigeria and be like, my project lead, Leko in Nigeria, that listen, you guys will soon also be in lockdown, so we need to start thinking of a business model around it. If not, I'm going to have to be losing some of you guys that are not up to task. So that way we're able to kind of, leverage on a thing or two.
Right, okay. So just before coming on there, I spoke to not one, but two superstar musicians, Olamide and Yemi Alade. Here's what they had to say. Thank you so much, Olamide, for joining us. I know you're a very busy man, so we'll get right into it. So you've recently released an album. How has the pandemic affected you being able to go out and promote the album, promote the release? How has the pandemic been able to affected that?
In so many ways, man. In so many ways. I'm supposed to be doing like radio rounds right now. And, given the fact that I'm even in the US, which I've never, done any radio rounds out here before, it would have been a big opportunity for me. But, I feel like probably because I'm from the school of hard knock, and I blew up in the era when there was no, there's no a lot of music platforms and a lot of technology pushing music massively and all that. We didn't even have what's it called, Spotify and all that way back then. It was the days of just the Bluetooth and all that and Alabamix. So I have always tried my best possible to give my all to my music. So therefore, it makes it easier for my, my project to fly, because good music would always fly no matter what, And I think that's what's really working for me right now.
So how long did it take you to kind of put the album together? And do you think the lockdown help you hasten the process of putting that album together in such a quick time, because everyone was locked down at home and no one had anywhere to go, so they were able to kind of stay at home and just focus on the music?
Funny enough, if there was no lockdown, I would have finished my project earlier than I did. It took me like 4 to 5 months to get the album ready. But if there was no lockdown, I would have been able to go to all the right places I'm meant to go to get inspiration, to get things flowing for myself and my team, because we have spots where we like to record and all that. But because of the lockdown and so many other things, we couldn't, go to these places and record there and all that. So.
But thank you so much for joining, and I know you've been busy, so I'll let you get on with it. But thank you once again. Hi, Yemi, and thank you so much for joining. I know you've taken out time from your busy schedule to have a quick chat on Your Voice. How has the lockdown affected you performing to your millions of fans across the globe?
Well, just like everyone else in the world, things have slowed down, and a lot of countries have imposed lockdown. Same here in Nigeria. But health is wealth, and health is most important right now. So we're all at home, working from home.
Has the lockdown forced creatives like yourself to kind of take a step back and be a bit more creative and work on your projects at home? Because I noticed that the lockdown has encouraged and increased a lot more creativity from creators and artists such as yourself.
Well, I would say that I'm not sure if it has inspired creativity. I think it's a little harder to be creative because, as for me, as a creative, I feel like my inspiration comes from the world, my environments, and that used to be a lifestyle that involved a lot of traveling, a lot of meeting new people, and now that has sort of like been taken away from us for now. So things have really changed. So I'm not saying it's inspiring creativity because like recording at home, making music at home, stuff that I've been doing like forever.
Right.
So just doing everything else, but in a very limited capacity, limited creative space. But through it all, we pushed, which is why I have an album out right now, which is called Empress.
Nice. When's that coming out?
That is out in a few days. So get ready.
So you've been hard at work. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a real pleasure catching up with you. I'm going to let you get back in and get back on. A big thank you to Yemi Alade there, who took time out from Your Voice to kind of speak to me about the lockdown. Emmanuel,
yes.
So since the lockdown, has it allowed you to kind of diversify, to diversify into other areas because, being in a lockdown and business is booming for you,
yeah.
Has that allowed you to kind of diversify into other things? Or?
Absolutely. Like what Yemi Alade said, you have to be creative in these. I mean, if you think about it, it kind of takes away all the 5 senses of human that you can think, smell, touch, social distancing and stuff like that. So
what have you been in? What sort of stuff have you been involved with?
Recently, we just released the magazine, for example.
Right, okay. Physical or online?
Both. Physically and online. There's the online one is on issue, and I actually brought some copy for you as well. So,
nice, thank you.
So we've done stuff like that, magazine to sell out, both because in Nigeria, as you can tell, they're not like on a strict lockdown like UK. Like there's still people going to parties and stuff in Nigeria, so you can still sell some stuff, ad hoc on the streets. And also, we kind of we do like quarterly kind of album that we do for upcoming artists. So we kind of put something together in that kind of form to get, to still get a business up and running. And as well, we do, like I said, we do in-house kind of TV, online presenting stuff that we do similar to what you're doing now in Nigeria to just keep, the business up and going, pushing forward. And also, like I said, the digital marketing side of things are what my guys in Nigeria are now starting to, because there was in the States, people, trying to set up their business, sell more goods online. If you think about it, Jeff Bezos during the lockdown became a billionaire because people were ordering, a lot of stuff on
online,
Amazon and stuff like that. So just looking into digital markets, and that side of business is really, really pushing for us.
Wow, that's good. Steve, here's some information for you. PricewaterhouseCoopers finds that video games, music, podcasts, and the internet benefited positively from the pandemics, while cinema, live music, magazine, newspapers, and advertising have taken major hits. Why do you think that is?
Listen, anybody that thinks digital has always been there. It's just now a lot of people just are more aware that that is the right way to be able to reach, just like my friend said, be able to reach your targeted audience a lot more effectively. So without physical, and you don't physically have to go. The phone that we have is literally your tool.
Right.
We listen to whatever music we want to listen to, we watch whatever movie we want to watch. You're able to see your ads come up on your phone, from your Google ads to your Instagram ads. So it's even from an artist to a brand to a personal person that's building their personal brand. It's the one where you can connect with any single person. So you don't literally have to. I mean, all the people that you've said have had issues at the old school of way of marketing and targeting. I mean, the online, the podcast, the audio formats, your YouTube are the new age media that you need to be in tune with if you really want to be able to monetize your services or your gifts. So you can't get away from it. It's not possible.
New age media.
Yes.
I like the phrase. That's the end of part 3. Join us after the break when we'll be wrapping up the discussion on this edition of Your Voice right here on Yanga TV. Don't go anywhere.
But I will bring those cockroaches alive, just to prove to you how powerful I could forget. We want nothing other than family cleansing, uprooting of all charms wherever they are being laid.
Gantu, charm detector. He will uproot all the charms here and put your enemies to shame.
How much will it cost?
It's 450,000 if you want express service. I'll give you 7 million.
Hello and welcome back to Your Voice, where we're discussing the impact of COVID on the entertainment industry. The new normal is a phrase that's rather overworked these days. But what does that mean for entertainment in 2021 and beyond? With me in this final section of the show, I still have Steve Osage, and I'm delighted to welcome back event organizer and promoter Marlon Boateng. So, Marlon, what does the future have? I know you've alluded that the businesses like promoters can't bounce back. But what is the future? What if you could see over the horizon? What is the future for promoters?
I think towards the end of was it November, how events were, I think we'll probably start with that. So again, the groups of 4s, the groups of 6, limited amount of numbers in the venue.
Right.
Is really is a tough time.
Right.
It really is, you know, and you know, earlier when you were talking about the whole DJ thing, DJs, man, crazy, you know, but I think they're gonna go from the groups of 4s, the groups of 6, using venues that are limited numbers.
Right.
So if you're, you know, like us, where you're having 500, 600 people on a weekly, you probably go down to like 150 if you're lucky.
Right.
You know, so...
But surely this can't go forever. There has to be some replacement.
Yeah, surely. But when? You know, and it's like, what do you do? Do you, it's almost like we're all waiting. We're all waiting to be told, oh, hi, you can have 200 people now. Thank you very much, we'll do 200. Then it's like, you know, how long is it gonna go? 3 months, 6 months? You can have 300 now. Oh, thank you very much, we'll do that. You know, so what do you do?
Yeah.
You know, so what does it look like? I truly believe it will be starting off again with the groups of 4s, the groups of 6, and then maybe seeing how it works. And then maybe perhaps it goes more to having 100, maybe 200, maybe 300, if you're lucky, depending.
So Steve, the likes of Burna Boy have now taken on the concerts online, virtual reality. Yes. Is that the future?
It is. What we consider to be an anomaly is going to be the new normal. Even for you as a promoter, funny enough, I was actually having a discussion with a couple of friends of mine in Nigeria and the UK that, listen, as a promoter, now you should actually be thinking of doing virtual parties, virtual events, because it only takes a couple of weeks for what you consider to be, oh yeah, that will only come and go, but it seems like it's going to take a while before coming to next year when they're thinking, okay, it's good for everybody to be outside, and okay, you can start going out to parties, but even with that, you're still going to have the same amount of fear in people kind of partying and so on and so forth. If I know I can come out on a Friday, log into my computer that we've all been doing virtual meetings, virtual events, or whatever it is. I can go on my computer at 10 p.m. The DJ is playing song from, you know, to 1 or 2 p.m. I finish, I go up and sleep. Like that, you'll be surprised because there are ways you can monetize that if you're creative enough. Because, for example, they have there are some companies that do like drink tokens, like online. You can actually chat and toast people just the way you normally. I know it's a virtual world, but you have to start thinking creatively. How do you move out of that space? And I think people also do virtual reality. It's another. I think that is going to explode over the next year or two in itself, and how you're actually able to engage, interact without physically being in a certain space. So it's for us to think, what are the tools that are around us? How do we utilize them? Like you said, Burna Boy is having a virtual concert. Torres Lane had a virtual concert that had how many people turn up? You had virtual verses that was being done online that just between two female artists. Who was it?
Wherever.
Yeah, they had over like 800,000 people that turned up. You normally never get 800,000 people that turn up for a venue. Even if those people are paying just £1 or $10 for an event that normally costs $100, how much is that in your pocket? Think about it. There are new opportunities. I think we need to stop thinking of the limitations, but look at the opportunities that those avenues actually render to you as an artist or as a promoter. Literally, then the world is your oyster.
Yeah. So now for my final interview, I caught up with social media influencer Jacqueline Mensah. Here's what she had to say. Thank you so much for joining us, Jacqueline. How has your followership online increased in 2020? And do you think the lockdown and the pandemic has got something to do with it?
Of course. this lockdown has actually done more good to me than harm, I must say, because initially, if I could remember, I was having like about 50,000 followers, but on TikTok now, I have about 459,000 followers. And to talk of Instagram and my other platforms, each and every day, the followers are just increasing. So I would say, yeah, this pandemic has had an effect on my viewership and followership.
So do you think this is the new normal in terms of looking for entertainment now? Are people now going to be looking at social, as well as look at TV, they're going to be looking at social media to kind of help them or give them that entertainment value that they're looking for?
I must say, people hardly watch TV now, unless maybe they want to watch news from some particular TV station. But then for entertainment, people are always looking on their phones. Like, the focus is now on phone. It's like the world now revolves around the internet. Everything is on the internet. So yeah.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. So it seems like the new space is social media. We just have to go there, and promoters have to. I mean, look at this footage. This is the days when we could actually physically go out. But
what a time.
But I don't think, see, look at that, live concerts. But I don't think this is going to be happening anytime soon. So what is? So, I mean, it's going to be hard. But you see, when they announced the vaccines, the share prices for Zoom went down. So there must be a reason for that going down. People want to go out. So I think the virtual space can only last for so long. There's that tactical, there's that tactile. What's your take on it?
Right, so this is I think there's a few things due to the uncertainty of exactly how effective this virus is. You know, I mean, who under 60 or even who's in the clubs right now? What age group? What are we saying?
25, 20s.
Even if you go 21, you can go 21 to what? Maybe 30?
Yep.
I don't know. Right. So how many of those who with no underlying health issues are actually being affected or dying from this situation? I don't think many of us believe that, you know, yo, listen, if you go out, you're in a group or you're around somebody, it's a danger. Right. So I get the virtual thing, but I think we're doing it because we're almost being forced to, not because we want to. Right. And also there isn't any clear guidelines as to why this specific age group and why we shouldn't be allowed to go out. You know, I get your, you know, the virtual thing, but you know what? People might pay £1 or $5, as you said, to watch something online. They'll pay £50 to go out and have that physical,
that you can't.
It's a whole different vibe.
I'll counter that. Yeah. How many people can you put in your typical venue? Your typical UK venue?
500, 800.
500 people, right?
Yeah, 500. Okay.
In the UK or in South London or in East London, right? If you're well known and you promote your event, you run a Google ad that touches 1 million people that love a certain sound, let's say Afrobeats, right? You can reach literally millions of people, and you can pretty much have 10,000 people that attend that same event.
Probably even more because it's online.
Thank you. A whole lot more, because when you it's all about awareness and how you can monetize it. That is what, because people have not educated themselves on how to be able to monetize their online public. That's why they're thinking in that way. There's a problem.
But as a promoter, Marlon's point is not about the monetization, it's about the experience. He's trying to create an experience, but you can't really kind of put money on the experience.
Yeah, but if you want to go on the monetizing part, it's fine. However, you mentioned earlier Tory Lanez, right? People weren't paying for a Tory Lanez concert. They were paying for Tory Lanez live entertainment. And for example...
Still the same thing?
No. They're two different things. They're two different things. I'll give you an example. So, what's that UK artist? What's his name? The UK artist that was doing also just like Tory Lanez. Swamps.
Swamps.
Is it Swamps?
Yes.
Right. I should have known this. Anyway, Swamps, right? His followers all of a sudden went, it was shooting up. Why? It wasn't because he was performing on Instagram Live. It wasn't, because he was entertaining. So if you're sticking to a promoter's type of union for myself, right, where I'll have, you know, the DJs going on live, you know, doing a DJ, and I get it, you can monetize if you're very smart and you know your numbers, you know your numbers, you know the right people to go to ask for, you know, and cut a deal. But following Tory Lanez, not for his musical experience, but more for his entertainment on Insta Live, is different from following Tory Lanez paying for a live event.
But you learn, that's the problem with a lot of us, yeah? We catch on to the bus too late, yeah? If a trend is happening, there's a friend of mine, I was telling her about TikTok from like 9 months ago, yeah? Somebody that had 50,000 followers and now has 400,000 followers, right? She can command so much more, yeah? You as a promoter, you're saying the age group is 21 to 30, right? How much are they spending? Do they really have that spend? But if you can reach a targeted audience that is 30 to 50, like maybe like myself, like Gabe, but if you're able to find a way where I can pay more for you online, that audience that you say is 21, how much are they going to spend in the club? It's people like myself that you want to come into a club that will spend 5 times what that 21-year-old is going to spend.
But Steve, can you put a price on experience?
No, the experience, Steve.
Listen, it's up to you. See,
different.
The problem you guys are talking about is all about how do you create the experience online? You can do the same thing. No. Yes, you can. If you are creative enough, yeah? You can, he didn't just stand in front of a stage. He created a whole ambience around it. There are online tools that you can, even as people are online chats in itself, you can create an experience for them while they are online. Listen, if we limit ourselves, I'm telling you, just the way Blockbuster became like a dinosaur and Netflix came and took them over.
Thank you so much.
No, it's a good point.
Thank you so much, guys. That's unfortunate. That's all. Such an interesting conversation.
No,
we'll carry on this conversation. That's all we have time for on this edition of Your Voice. Thanks to my guests on this part, Steve Osage and Marlon Boateng. And of course, to my earlier guests, Dorcas Shola Fapson, Obi Emeloye, and Emmanuel Alade. And thank you for watching. I'm Gabriel Renu. Until next time, stay safe. And don't forget to join us again right here on Your Voice.
It seems extraordinary that there's nothing that the coronavirus doesn't touch.
All see Black Lives Matter demonstrations.
Oppression is brought out.
So unfortunately, because I just feel like we're going down this road, we've been down this road before.
We've had